We are going to solve this word problem using the law of cosines. A ship leaves from port A intending to travel directly to port B, a distance of 40 kilometers. After traveling 20 kilometers, the captain finds that his course has been in error by 7 degrees. How far is the ship from port B? It is a good idea to draw a diagram of this situation to understand the triangle we are working with. So we have port A and a distance of 40 kilometers to port B. But when the captain left port A, his course was in error and he was off by 7 degrees. So instead of being on this course to B, he was off by 7 degrees. So we have an angle of 7 degrees here to the course that he did take, and he took this course for 20 kilometers until realizing that he was off course. And now we want to determine how far the ship is from port B. So from this point here, what is the distance to port B? To summarize the information we are given, we have this side of the triangle. This is the distance from port A to port B, that is 40 kilometers. We have this side of the triangle. This is the distance the ship traveled before noticing its course was in error, that is 20 kilometers. And the angle in between these two paths is 7 degrees. And we want to determine the side opposite this angle, which is the distance that the ship is now from port B. So if we let this side, the side that represents the distance from A to B, be C, and we have C equals 40 kilometers. And if we let this side that represents the distance before the captain realized that the course was in error, then we have B equals 20 kilometers. And the angle in between these two courses, if we let that be alpha, we have alpha equals 7 degrees. So therefore the side opposite alpha will be A. So A is the distance that the ship is now from port B. We always want to make sure that using the law of cosines is appropriate. So recall we have this side 20 kilometers and this side 40 kilometers, and we have the angle that these two sides form, so we can use the law of cosines to find the third side of the triangle. And we will use this equation, since we have the angle alpha, and recall that in the law of cosines, the side opposite the angle that is represented will be here in the equation, and only here. So if we substitute the values that we have for B, C, and alpha, we have an approximation for A squared, which gives us an approximation for A. Therefore, the ship is approximately 20.3 kilometers from port B.